I don't see you, live on YouTube yet. So
It's been 40 minutes since we started.
huh. Oh yeah, now I see it. Now I see it. Okay.
No, the other one was good. The little discourse about drugs and philosophy of mind and stuff. You should keep that one up. Yeah.
Yeah. The takeaway is the takeaway from the today is microphones bad, drugs good. Yeah. You. You.
You could just get like like a cheap $20 headset, which is what I'm using, and considering the price, the audio for this is pretty good, I would say. Yeah, it looks like a giant penis.
And also the problem is that also the problem with those Blue Yeti and
Oh yeah.
Snowball microphones is that the frequency response is just fucking terrible. It has no bass at all, and it's overpriced and overhyped. I don't know why everyone loves it. Well, it's USB, just plug it in and it works. But
The beauty the what
no, I mean not bass as in no. I mean like low frequency response is really really bad. Like it doesn't pick up anything. Like I made a video about this a while back. Well, it was mostly a video about how one guy talking about microphones has no idea what he's talking about, but I talked about frequency response and different microphone types as well. The video is called "This is not how microphones work."
So what price is the Blue Yeti-ish? Yeah.
Well, it's pop. What's called pop filter. Well,
So I wonder if anybody's taking bets on which YouTube channels are going to be nuked within the next week or whatever it might be. Do you think it's people or do you think it's just a bot, an algorithm?
of course, it's bot. And given that developers who develop YouTube are a bunch of fucking code monkeys, though this algorithm never worked properly and never will work properly.
Yeah.
We've seen this already before many times when they try to implement this shit. Remember a couple days ago there was a big short. Like, YouTube didn't work for many people for several hours, or did some function didn't work. They were implementing this stupid shit. I bet. And given that now they trying to roll it up, and there will be a lot of stupid decisions made by this bot, and then they will
Well,
apologize and
it looks as though the algorithm combs through descriptions and stuff like that, or just looking for, I guess, a certain quotient of naughty words, and if you have too many of them, your channel gets demonetized, and if you have even more of them than that, then your channel just gets nuked.
yeah, it's like for example, JF had the video removed. The video was called just because of the title. The video was called "The Future of the Alt-Right," and the video got removed, even though nothing in that video was, against the TOS. Oh, apparently. Mm,
I can hear you.
well, that's because you are.
Oh,
Try that.
I actually mute myself and I listen to what's going on in the stream, and I'll say what's going on. So you two talk.
Wait. So now you can hear me, right? I think that now it should work. Well, I mean, it should work like better than it was. This is the best I can do for this stream, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to get a new microphone or a new cable or something. I'll have to have some time to play around with it. But I think this microphone works well enough that if I talk kind of loudly, I can't change the volume because it's set at 100 in OBS.
just
So,
yell at the top of your lungs.
yeah, I'll just be yelling. I live with
That's a
Chinese
great-
people, so I think yelling at things is normal enough anyway.
Yeah, they don't really understand what talking is. They just shout at each other all the time. So
Actually, I kind of have a funny story about me being a dumb white person. That's really, really hilarious.
Oh dear.
So I was walking home the other day, and we had a lot of rain. There was an area by the road that was all kind of constructioned off. There was like some concrete barriers around it and some yellow tape, like don't go here, right? And then I heard this dog bark. I heard like a dog bark, and I stopped. And I thought, oh my god, is there a little dogger? Is there a dogger trapped in there, I wonder? And I heard the dog bark again. And then I thought, oh no, what if that's a little dogger and he's crying for help? Like, I don't have anything better to do. I'm gonna, like, see if I can call this number. There's, like, a 50-50 chance that the person will speak a little bit of English. And maybe I know kind of enough Mandarin that it would work either way. But, so I called them, and they're like, they just hung up on me because they, like, didn't want to deal with a stupid white person. Which is fair. So I kind of waited for like a minute because like people were walking by, and like a lady walked by, and she knew a little bit of Mandarin, so I was asking her about it. I was like, "You hear the dog noise?" And then she just laughed at me, and she said, "It's a," I think the word is, "It's a way," which I think means a recording. It was like a recording sound of a dog that they loop, and I think it's for like blind people so that they don't like walk down a hole or something. I don't know. I just thought that it was really weird. And then they called me back later, and I explained, like, I was walking by it, and the reason I called was because I thought maybe there was, like, a dog stuck there. And they were like, no, that was just a recording.
Be glad that you're in Hong Kong and not Singapore, because if you call the wrong number in Singapore, you'll probably be subjected to strokes of the cane.
Yeah, right. They just, like, cane you. Like, what? I just wanted to save the dogger.
Yeah. I've seen footage of it as well. They like strip you naked and tie you prone to a board and like lacerate you with like it looks like a whip, and it's really funny.
Don't some
Oh
people
god,
pay for that though?
I sound evil now.
But like, yeah, well, I was just worried because I was just imagining a little Hong Kong dogger, right? The little Hong Kong dogger doesn't walk everywhere. It's usually in a prom. It's got a little bow in its hair. You know, they're not meant for survival. I feel like their survival rating is like below a human baby. So I just felt like someone's gotta, just in case there's a little dogger stuck in there, he's got zero chance. Because if he's a Hong Kong dogger, he's made for purses.
Yeah, well, their fate is much nicer than that of the dogs in non-Hong Kong China. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, that is a nasty rumor. It's really not many places in China that are okay with that, and most Chinese people would condemn that. So, just throwing that out there.
You mean most of the ones in the Swipple urban areas?
No,
I don't know.
no, most of them in general.
Come on, meat is meat.
Huh?
People in some countries eat fucking grasshoppers.
I think grasshoppers look tasty.
I don't know. I would rather eat a dog than a grasshopper. I'm sorry.
Like, I feel like I'd eat anything deep fried as long as it's not a dog.
Deep fried Mars bars is a thing in Scotland, I hear.
Oh yeah,
Deep
you can
fried
get
what?
deep Mars bars. Yeah, deep fried candy bars is a thing at like this, like the fair.
Well, what the? Why?
You deep fry. I ate one once. I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna die.
Why would you deep fry a fucking candy bar?
Because that's
This
the
is
point. The point of being at a fair is you just eat the most disgusting food on a stick.
ugh. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's messy. It's disgusting.
Yeah. I guess it's not
just
that.
Western decadence.
Yeah.
We should get started with this piece here because this one's an interesting one. So this is all related to paganism and the divine feminine. This is all about the divine feminine in search of the lunar male, contemporary rituals of men's mysteries. And this author has like a crazy retarded name. Her name is Zsussana Emese Budapest. And Zsussana is spelled Zuzzsanna. Like she couldn't decide to use Z or an S. So it's just a
Sounds
crazy name.
Hungarian. Like in Hungarian, that letter combination is the other way round though. SZ, and it's just pronounced the way we say S, and it's weird.
That is weird. I mean,
Well, it's like in
ZS
Eastern Europe. The in some Eastern European countries, you can write an entire sentence with only consonants, and it will, well, it sounds kind of like you expect it to sound.
Yeah, Reka and shit like that. Well, no, that has an E in it, but whatever. Sorry.
It's just a problem. It's just a problem. But yeah, this is it's gonna be oozing with flavor. So let me see. I have the first page up here. She says, I would like to stand up for the so-called soft male. I like him, and I think many women also like him. This is the lunar male, who has found flexibility. The lunar male knows how to wax and wane, how to grow into fullness. Lunar males are identified with the human species as a whole, therefore women are part of them. What is so virtuous about being hard? Women are tired of hard males. Like some perpetual dildo, they go through life's emotional events with an unbendable attitude, pretending to believe that is what women want. It is boring. The hard male is part of the shadow male. He is the current collective male that hates women and children. He hates that which is alive, changing, wild, out of his control. The lunar male has the power to absorb the shadow male into his more flexible male magnetic field. But how? Generations of creative work, perhaps, but it will take more than fairy tales, therapy, and abstinence from eating yogurt to turn a shadow male dominated society around into a secure, mature masculinity. Oh, I'm sorry, a shadow male dominated. That's a new term.
What the fuck was that? This is just some
In
fucking
order to turn a
schizophrenic
shadow
one.
male dominated society into a secure,
Shadow the
mature
Hedgehog.
masculinity. Goddess help you. Goddess help you, sir. This is enlightened, okay? This is the path. This is the way.
Oh
She
yeah,
says,
Shrek is life. Shrek is life.
some men are experimenting with ritual to help them make this transition. This is part of the men's mysteries, which I discovered while studying women's mysteries, both part of the rich goddess culture of our global ancestors. So that's the beginning, this first page here.
Is she trying to make it sound like a fantasy novel? I mean,
I
she
think that that's her.
may as well just go the whole hog and write it in Middle English, like the King James Bible or some shit.
Yeah, it seems that way. But I guess this is the idea is that it really is classic, right? They say, oh no, we don't want to deconstruct masculinity. We're just after toxic masculinity. So I feel like you can pretty much just say what she refers to as the shadow male is the toxic masculine. And I think the implication is that everything has like a shadowed nature to it. So if anything's bad in a thing, then it's the shadow version. Like I feel like that's an implication here. So I wonder if we're going to see any reference to the shadow feminine.
So to that I can respond with just choke on my shadow cock.
Yeah, right. Well, and but
Pretentious twat.
this is what she's talking about. That would be a hardened solution to an issue. She's saying it needs to be softer.
Oh dear.
See, so
It's like to hear a woman saying that she prefers softer, or everything I knew about women was wrong. I thought they preferred, hard males.
well, and it's another thing too. They always say like these like it's just a vicious rumor that women like masculine men. It's just a vicious rumor, and it's so silly. It's such terrible advice too. I really my heart goes out to the more cuckish soy boy beta males who take this advice to heart and then really try to wrap themselves around it and then become this version of masculinity that basically will pay for women and will support them, but then she'll just go get the Chadcock on the side. I think that's kind of the dynamic that plays out. But of course, I would be speaking from a very shadow male dominated perspective in perpetuating such obvious lies, obvious
Maybe
myths.
maybe she would say that the solution to that dilemma is polyamory, and that's totally going to make the situation better, of course.
Oh, I think definitely she's probably in that camp. Terrence mentioned in the chat sounds kind of Teal Swadesh. Yes, yes.
Oh, I haven't heard about that woman before in a long time. I remember some. Oh, she was the one who got into some weird conspiracy bullshit, and when people were not buying, was showing her nudes to attract attention. She was that desperate. That's the one.
She has this whole lore where she thinks she's a star seed. So she's like an alien implanted into a vessel, and she was part of a cult where she was like serially abused or whatever. Like she has like a whole fucking insane backstory. And about how she has this like insanely high IQ and like was a prodigy, but like nothing is documented. she's a fascinating character. I can't take that away from her.
Yeah, she has an extremely high IQ. She watched all episodes of Rick and Morty.
That's it. Oh, and she watched them before the show even premiered as an alien.
Mm.
Let's see. So, so this is she's going to tell us the truth of these men's mysteries, which she discovered while studying women's mysteries, both part of the rich goddess culture of our global ancestors. I have written about men's mysteries since 1975 in my first book, The Holy Book of Women's Mysteries, under the subtitle Sacred Sons. I agree that men and women need to make rituals to make sense of their lives, to ritualize what is important to them, to progress from childhood into adulthood, to create community in which to experience and celebrate their lives. This was demonstrated to me by my youngest son, Gabor, Gabor's desire to be initiated. He was just 15 years old. I was on the West Coast, so I sent him a ritual based on what I found out from Jane Harrison, the brilliant English anthropologist and Oxford professor who lived between the two big wars. Isn't that most people?
Anthropology isn't a real science.
Just, yeah, I mean, yeah, they have like major people like Margaret Mead, who like it was exposed like the indigenous people were just taking the piss. I don't know if I can approve this message, Terrence. It's not personal. I'm just like scared of YouTube now because they're gonna come after um all of the non-round planet people. and that means they're just gonna find any excuse to ban people, and then they're gonna call you a non-round planet person. Okay. Yeah, so this is such a weird thing. So she has a 15-year-old son who wants to be initiated into her like cult of the goddess, and she was living away from him on the West Coast and sent him a ritual based on a professor she liked. It just seems like a very
Stupid?
it seems very stupid, and it's like multiple levels removed, and this is just a weird glimpse into her parenting that I won't
Yeah,
say
you
much.
can't help.
I find it suspicious.
You can't help feeling sorry for the children of these people. And she keeps using. Sorry, I just heard knocking. Is someone knocking on your door or something?
No, that was my knee hit my laptop.
Oh, no, lovely. Yeah, she keeps using this term mysteries. Like, the only thing that makes me think of is the Eleusinian mysteries, which was like this ancient Greek agrarian cult of the underworld thing. Yeah, I don't know.
The magic and the mystery of potato knishes.
Yes.
I feel like with paganism, because it's so linked to nature, all those things kind of do bleed into each other. Like it's non-arbitrary. Well, I mean, I guess it is arbitrary. Just how it all just it's like Thanksgiving dinner. You just mix everything together. Let's see. So the ritual was a solo spell that he would put upon himself. There was a lot of strength in this solo spell. The words were old. The deed was unusual, out of the ordinary, secret. I was not there, nor did he disclose to me too much of what actually happened. He was to wait until the moon was full, then go alone into the woods, where the sounds of cars would not be heard. Here he was to light a black candle symbolizing his darkness, his past, his boyhood, and recite these words: Appear, appear, whatso thy shape or name, O mountain bull, snake of the 100 heads, lion of burning flame, O God, O beast, O mystery, come. He was to repeat this 3 times and wait for a sign from nature. The sign, such as an owl hooting, a bird calling, even frogs or insects, was accepted as a good omen, a sign of the presence of the nature god, recognizing and accepting him. While he was waiting there, breathlessly tuned into the woods all alone, he was afraid. It wasn't the kind of fear he had normally, like when he was mugged at gunpoint in Manhattan, for example, or when he was taking a difficult test at school. No, he was listening to his own budding manhood, his own soul, his own initiate community of unseen ancestors.
You know, this would be much more interesting if this ritual involved consumption of psychoactive substances like normal, the fun kind of pagan rituals. Like, Native Americans have peyote. In Mesoamerica they had quite a selection of recipes for ayahuasca, and better than just going at night into the woods with a candle, because that's kind of lame. Even Christians have wine, so you can at least get drunk.
I wonder though, so it's mountain bull, snake of 100 heads. I don't know what that means. Like I'm trying to figure out like if there's a particular god that would be.
Hydra.
Taurus? Like you said, bull, didn't you? Oh.
Yeah, and also lion of burning flame. It's very mixed up. It's like a lot of things all together. And I feel like the real miracle would be not perceiving an owl or a frog or a bird or anything out in the middle of the woods.
This is how those rituals work. You go into the woods where there are a lot of animals making sounds, and any of those sounds count as confirmation that this worked. brilliant. It would be stranger if nothing happened. Like, you go into a woods and there's no sound there, unless it's everyone is dead there. There will be a sound of some animal. That's what animals do. They make sound, and if any sound at all, is okay, well, you are guaranteed to have success.
Yeah, like I feel like with that kind of a standard, if I were to like fart, I'd be like, well, this means something now.
Yeah, if there was some more, something more concrete, something more specific, maybe that would mean something. But like any sound at all, yeah, or not even sound. Like if you're, if some insect bites you in the dick, does it count as a nature sign?
Well,
Because
and
that's
that
what.
one might be a bad omen because she listed the good omens, but she didn't list the things that could be possible bad omens. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
guess.
In our modern times, he presented himself in the best temple available, the wilderness, as a new chorus. I don't know this word. Capital Kouretes. Chorus? I've never heard that term before. Or the name. Hmm.
Nope.
A fully grown young. Oh, I guess it's a fully grown young male.
Ah.
Instead of a bird or a snake, there was a crackling in the wood's floor. Footsteps! Footsteps! Now he was really awed. The footsteps came nearer, but haltingly, not in a steady rhythm. He was only halfway through his initiations to the Great Spirit. So he now called out really loud, hoping to warn whoever was on his way to meet him, and his own voice helped to calm him down. When he finished, the presence was clearly behind him. He turned. It was a young stag with horns covered with that sexy, mossy hair. The young man and young stag looked at each other in bewilderment, brothers in nature. Gamera's fear dissipated. He wanted to kiss that young stag in relief. Oh, now it's just getting weird.
That's really funny. I
The
was gonna make a joke about if she's talking about sending her son to do all these weird activities, right?
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say if you're gonna do that, you could at least tell him to do something kind of funny or interesting.
Oh,
There's
that
a
would be
para,
yeah. If it was a dad doing this, it would totally be like this
yeah,
super funny prank. That'd be really elaborate.
yeah. There's a paraphilia called dendrophilia, which means sexual arousal by trees. So you could tell a story about how he needs to go into the woods and just have sex with a tree, and that'll cause some sort of experience, and it would just be really
Yeah.
funny. But the way it's
How I
going
blamed
right,
Pinocchio.
yeah, the way it's going right now, it sounds interesting because it almost sounds as though she's describing the stag in, well, she's like anthropomorphizing it in a really weird way. It's funny because there's a passage in something that I've recently been studying, this uh, epic of Roman literature, the Aeneid, when Aeneid is, leading his band of brothers to found Rome, basically, and they encounter like a herd of stags, and is funny in the woods as well, like on an island somewhere. It just reminded me of that.
Well, speaking of stags, this whole thing reminded me of her scene quest from Skyrim.
Yeah, but was the stag described as handsome in that, or what was the word she used?
It was the hair was mossy and sexy.
Well, it wasn't. In modern Elder Scrolls incarnations, the levels of degeneracy are lower. In the first ones, yeah, this mythology was quite not quite as degenerate as ancient Greek mythology, but degenerate enough.
Ugh.
And that's first seen in Skyrim is like ethereal deer. So then, well, I guess if you are a furry, you might as well find them sexy and want to bang it. I don't know.
See, and that's the thing here is that this is like the second or third time we're reading one of these chapters, and it's like 6 degrees of separation to either like furries or fucking animals. Like, why did we keep ending up here? I don't like this.
Well, it's like
Recently,
But like the creepier part of it is that it's like she's describing it in a way that's like semi-romantic or even sexualized, and it's a story about her son. It's very weird. It's weird because he's young. It's weird because it's her son, and it's weird because there's an animal involved. Like she just made it weird in every dimension all at once.
well, you are thinking like a shadow male. You need to think like a
maybe
lunatic.
That's
maybe
true
she
too.
has like notions about the male libido. I mean, I guess some young male teenagers could probably have satisfactory sex with pretty much anything. So I wonder if like she's trying to insinuate something. I don't know.
Maybe. I
Oh.
don't know. I guess we'll see. Let's see where she's going with it. Maybe we're just reading too much into it. Maybe we're not being sufficiently charitable to the Moon Lady.
But by the way, what is more degenerate, trying to bang a deer or trying to bang a tree in the making a hole in the tree and banging it?
Well, at least a tree isn't like alive, and it probably doesn't carry many like dangerous diseases. A stag could,
Yeah.
especially since a stag doesn't have a vagina, so you'd have to put it somewhere else. Oh god.
Well, at least in the stag's hole, there is no angry squirrel who might want to gather the nuts for the winter. So, just saying.
Well, there is statuemolesters.org. There's a community of people who like to fuck statues, but that's almost less weird than fucking a tree.
That sounds like painful. Uh,
Well, it's statue
interesting.
molesters. I don't know if they're actually trying to fuck these statues. I think they're just like touching them.
Yeah, like just
I mean,
frotting
if you
against
think
them.
about it, though, typically if someone makes a statue of a person, like they want it to be like an idealized person. So like it really is less weird in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I'm gonna white knight for the statue molesters. Let's see. The first half of his initiation was over now. He called up his fears, and his fears manifested. He faced them successfully. Now he was to light his white candle, activating, calling down new guidance from his long line of relatives, most of them witches and herbalists. Of course, most of them are fucking witches and herbalists. For at least the past 800 years. 800 years of witches and herbalists produced this. The young
Well,
stag
I
just stood
guess you need
around
to
watching
be.
him. Gabor named
Uh,
him Pan. I'm sorry, just like the white candle of the lunar male, of the
Wow.
non-shadow male.
Well, that's just delightful.
And now we're on to the second part. The second part was a chant, again courtesy of Jane Harrison, who found this ritual in the Minoan strata of the birth cave of Dicte in Crete. It was ritual poetry written by the ancient priesthood of Rhea, left to us on slabs of stone. The hymn celebrates the Kornos, adult male, a sacred child of Rhea, the goddess of the Milky Way. What an adult male is supposed to do in the world is never articulated by our culture except to make money, get a job, don't take drugs, get a girl. But nothing about his mission, his sacred tasks, his moral challenges. I chose the hymn of Koretz because in this song the newborn child has to be protected from the older male slash father because of a prophecy that the son would depose
well,
his father.
if you take it from older males, then something is wrong with your society. Just try not to be around, kitty dealers. Just saying.
Well, and here's the thing, we don't know anything about this guy's father, right? Like she's telling us about this like ritual and it's very disembodied. And like she's not even present for it. She's living far away from her son for some reason. I don't know. It really is shaping up to a very strange situation. She says that her son is descended from witches and herbalists. Is she implying that like she is a witch and his father is an herbalist? I don't like it. Like from what she's given us, it's a very strange picture where I have a lot of questions. I also feel like they're really really mixing together a lot of different mythologies here, aren't they? Well, because we're gonna have Kronos here in a moment. She says Kronos, the father, routinely ate/destroyed his own children. Rhea had to enlist the help of her fully grown male children to hide away the new generation from Kronos, to defend the young, to break the chain of abuse. I thought this was still very true. Generals who send young men to be maimed, the president who bombs civilians in order to win elections, millions of men who abandon their families and never pay child support, fathers who sexually abuse their sons and daughters. I wanted my son to be aware of this mythology and his role in it as a responsible male. So Gabor chanted to his stag Pan. Now he no longer felt alone. Oh my god, there's so much to unpack there. Like, first of all, on our bingo sheet.
I don't know if it's just me, but on my end, your audio keeps
Yeah, it's like
cutting out.
almost like the your internet connection isn't very good.
Yeah, I think that might be it. So we'll have to just try to weather through it. But
Yeah, now your audio is also pretty screwed.
Really makes understanding you difficult. It's
oh
not just.
It's when the connection is bad, the audio kind of sounds robotic and
Hmm.
bytes are dropping out.
Terrence says he can hear me, so it must be a problem in the actual.
Well, now it works fine.
Yeah. We'll see what we.
Well, now it works fine.
I don't know why I can't
Yeah, seems
duplicate
okay now.
my little hashtag here. I'm trying to make copies of my little hashtag so that here we go. Because we got okay, so we had sexual abuse of people. So we'll leave rape open. We'll see if we get rapier later on. Toxic masculinity, yeah, that's the shadow male. I think that counts. This is a classic case of man up. And that's what really bothers me about it. She's telling this 15-year-old boy, this is your role in society to protect the next generation from the men that us women chose. You know?
And it sounds like was her son? Was she like a single mother or something? Because it kind of sounds like she was.
It definitely sounds like she was. It sounds like she's a single mother, and she's bitter because she wants to gain child support from him, and that's why that was like the first thing she listed before war and sexual abuse. She lists not paying child support, the bane of every strong, independent woman's existence. Sorry, that's at least like 3 of these right here. Violence against women. I think this counts as violence against women.
Yeah, it's hard to know what to say about the child support thing because it's such a cliche at this point.
Yeah, and it's so stupid. But what really bothers me is it's this classic trope of like, you're the man of the house now. It's like, I don't know, like how come this 15-year-old boy has more responsibility than his adult mother? And it's a question that within red pill spheres gets asked a lot, but outside of that, it's conspicuously absent.
Yeah, no one cares.
Yeah, no one cares. No one cares about them, and it's sad. It's sad that not enough like younger males are willing to say like, actually no, I'm not going to accept this responsibility because, well, I mean for a number of reasons, right? He's not even going to be like praised if he's if he does accept the responsibility and does a good job. If he messes it up, then he's just going to be, on the hook for it because he took the responsibility. And I know people shouldn't only do good things because there's something in it for them, but at the same time, when people do good things, that it should be recognized and it should be rewarded. And yet, it seems like this is just, the real cycle here is just the one of constantly depending on men to just build the society for them. And then, insofar as they achieve that, she says, "Oh, well, that's just the shadow male, and it's awful and it's toxic, and you need to be more like women." How is he being like a woman in this situation when she's deferring to him for his protection?
Oh, on that note, this is somewhat related, I suppose, but I was just curious about this. The last time when Prince was here, and I made that quip about uh, why don't the Me Too feminists just start their own female-only companies and stuff like that? He said something like, "Well, you know what their stock response to that would be." But no, I actually don't. Like, do you know what they would say? I mean, beyond just starting your own company is difficult, but that's kind of a non-response, isn't it? Because men can do it.
Patriarchy, matriarchy, something like that.
Well, it could be from like a more communist angle. They would argue that they don't have access to the capital necessary to begin. I think,
Even though women spend the majority of money in this world.
yeah. Although, but of course that's their husband's money. But that's the funny thing about it. I think I've mentioned this before in one of these streams. But Diana Davison has an old video that's very funny. It's very, very funny about I was trying to find it actually, I think about a year ago, and I couldn't find it. But it was about a woman who is married and her husband pays for her to have her own craft business, and the craft business loses money every year. But, it's okay because it's just part of the experience, right? It's just something that's in the community and it's this really nice thing. And he does very well. So he can afford to just have this tiny little side business, this little hobby for his wife to keep herself busy. And the irony in it, or the appropriateness of it, I should say, is that that's kind of what crafting is. Crafting is just like amusing yourself by making dumb shit that's not profitable just for like the sake of it because it looks cool or it's pretty or it just keeps you busy. And like her craft business is itself like a craft. So I feel like that's what would
Yeah.
happen with these female businesses, right? It'd be a bunch of fucking craft shops. Like,
I remember reading a blog post once about, I can't remember if it was a feminist blog or a traditionalist, but it could have been either, is the funny thing. And it was basically 10,000 words of philosophical argumentation of a woman trying to justify why she isn't lazy by being a stay-at-home wife with no kids.
I remember Janet Bloomfield wrote an article like that, but she has kids. So,
Yeah, this was a woman with no kids, is the point.
yeah, I
Well, I
wonder.
think that, this actually kind of reminds me of a lot of times when governments subsidize local businesses, even when like in local even like, manufacturing when it doesn't turn any profit, just because it needs to support local you know local businesses. So kind of the same thing.
And to be clear, like I think that's perfectly fine to have a business like that. Like there's this misconception about capitalism, which is that it's all based on a profit motive. That's only true in practice. That's only true. It's only usually true in practice. Very often, either the so-called profit motive feeds directly into things that are more kind of community oriented, or people are perfectly fine to support something that's maybe a little bit more expensive or a little bit less efficient because they like or appreciate kind of the charm of it and what it provides to other people. And that fits perfectly under this larger umbrella of it. And she references earlier like, oh, they're only the men are given no role in society and no guidance beyond what? Make money, get a job, don't take drugs, get a girl. But like, does that not kind of sum up all of the most important things that a person should do?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I would prefer, live in a society where my actions are not, codified in a very hard way when I have to, live by some sort of, like my life. I don't want my life to be like a ritual with which had to be adhered to rigidly, because which societies had those, well, fascist societies where the state dictates what you have to do and how to live your life. And I prefer not to live in a fascist society.
Yeah, life is a sandbox RPG, and when people want to impose quest lines on you, it sucks. That's not the way that life should be lived.
Yeah.
I feel
I
like it's
also
people who are really like either not creative or not competent. They're really scared by that. They're really scared by the idea that there's all these different choices you can make, and they really like want to be controlled and want to have guidance in a really strict way.
Yeah, there was actually a study that showed that physically weaker males are more likely to support socialism.
Yeah, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I remember seeing that come up. That was kind of one of those things where I think it happens very often in sociology, where the conclusion you see is kind of like something that you just kind of can colloquially see at the surface level. Okay. So this is the chant that he says in the second part. Io, Koros, most great, I give the hail, Cronian, lord of all that is wet and gleaming. Thou art come at the head of thy daemons, and parentheses here, means companions. So daemons, it means companions, not demons. To dicty for the year. Oh, march and rejoice in the dance and the song. This we make in thee with harps and pipes mingled together, and sing as we come to stand at thy well-fenced altar. He had a choice to change the words, to make them more modern, but isn't modern what we are trying to get away from? So keeping the old chant as is gave the mind a chance to go back in time and feel for those priests now long gone. The stag, the night, the full moon, the candle, they were just as they have always been. Gabor could feel them. I told him to bring along some drinks and cakes. He was to feast in the woods. Ancient priests always drank some mind-altering brew, wine, mead, fermented mare's milk, etc. He brought with him a small bottle of good whiskey. He also started to drum on his small handheld drum, but it frightened the stag Pan away, so he stopped drumming. There was more to that.
Duh! If you start, making noise, wildlife is going to run away. Obviously.
When was this?
Also,
This is the great revelation.
yeah, you
Sorry,
were
what?
saying?
I just said, when was this written?
Well, so this was probably it had to have been written before 1992.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because this was published in 92, and it was a collection of various essays, some of which may have been written for this publication, but I think many were published elsewhere.
Yeah.
Also, what did they said? Oh, males are not supposed to do drugs, and then the very next paragraph. Oh yeah, this ritual requires you to be in a state of altered consciousness. Mixed
Well, no,
messages,
she's
maybe.
saying that men are told not to do drugs in society. So presumably she's okay with drugs. So I guess she's a cool
Oh,
mom in that sense, but I still feel like maybe I don't know.
well, it makes sense. When you're sober, this bullshit doesn't jive well with you. So you have to be on something to think that this makes sense. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. It is kind of a funny juxtaposition, though. That's like, go out into the woods for your spirit quest, but make sure you bring some cake. Bring some cake. Bring some cake and whiskey. Bring enough to share with your new animal friends.
Yeah, it's weird. I was gonna say parts of this remind me of the His Dark Materials trilogy, which is like this children's fantasy novel series where everybody is, like, from birth accompanied by a spirit creature in the form of an
Oh,
animal.
but
And
one of the books there was a movie adaptation called Golden Compass.
yeah, it was horrendous. But yeah, and the demon, and they were also called demons as well, of the main character in the series, it was also called Pan. Like it was an abbreviation of something, but she called him Pan. So I don't know if it was later than this. I think 1995 was when the first book was released, so I don't know if the author lifted it from this.
Probably just coincidence. Well, Pan is actually it's the name of a ancient Greek god who
Yeah,
was actually very close to nature, and I mean very close to nature. Since we already mentioned furries, there are statues of Pan, banging goats. So there's that.
that's just lovely.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah,
we're not gonna be kink shaming. We don't want to be part of the new YouTube purge, okay?
Well, at least she doesn't endorse having sex with stags, or at least it doesn't seem so yet.
But by the way, when someone says, "Oh, I'm pansexual," I always use this image. Oh, this is Pan being sexual. Yeah, you can show it on the stream. By the way, it's a statue, so it's educational because it's ancient.
I
If
can't.
someone drew it,
Yeah,
if some drew it for degenerates on Patreon, that would be porn. But since it's Greek and ancient, so it's history. It's still degenerate, but it's ancient degeneracy.
I want
oh
to
my
become
god.
like a Pornhub stonemason and just like take images from like graphic hardcore pornography, but like make it a statue. It's an
Yeah, it's
artistic
it's
statement.
called hentai and it's art.
Yeah, for like all of the worst, craziest like hentai you can think of. I might just be making this up, but I wonder if somebody had actually made like a statue of Tub Girl. Or I mean, really, it should be a fountain.
Please don't.
I think that would be lovely. Someone should make a Tub Girl fountain.
Of all the statues, I think that there are like millions of other subject matters for statues. I would prefer to that.
All I'm saying is, if I was like an eccentric rich person, I would totally have like a Tub Girl statue
And
fountain.
instead of water, it should have Coca-Cola.
Yeah, with cola or chocolate milk or whatever it needs. Well, I guess what made it so gross was that it was like a golden color. It'd be like coffee with a lot of creamer in it. Like that's what made it so much grosser. It would be less gross if it were like normal colored poop. Anyway, anyway,
Yeah.
I guess maybe I can't judge if that's what I would do with eccentric rich person money. Then I guess I can't judge the witch lady who who thinks that mossy hair on a stag is very sexy. Or can I? I don't know. These are important questions. Let's
Yeah.
see. So yeah, so he didn't drum because he didn't want to scare away Pan. There was more to the chant. Pan preferred him singing and chanting. For here the shielded nurturers took thee, a child immortal, away from Rhea, to protect with the noise of beating feet hid thee away. I, O Koros, most great, I give thee hail, Cronian, lord of all that is wet and gleaming. Thou art come at the head of thy demons to Dicte for a year. O march and rejoice in the dance and song, that we may make thee with harps and pipes mingled together, and sing as we come to thy well-fenced altar. The nurturers?
So,
Who are the nurturers today? Do we have any? The priesthood of nurturers who hide babies from harm? In this case, from the wrath of older males. Where are they when 2,000 children get kidnapped every year and simply cannot be found again?
What?
so she actually is going full Middle English now.
I don't. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, it's hard to know what to make of it. It's just.
There is some irony that this woman, assuming that she's lived this long, voted for Hillary Clinton, like undoubtedly, right? And oh, I'm gonna get banned for this, but Pizzagate is real. I don't care what anyone says. Pizzagate is fucking real.
Well, if
And
you think
here we
about
have
it,
her a couple of decades in the past saying, "What about the missing children?" Yeah, what about them? What about them, Zsussana?
yeah, that's the interesting thing. That if you look at all the recent high-profile sexual scandals, like almost all of them can be traced back to the Clintons. You know, the Harvey Weinstein and this sex cult Nexium. Remember, it was tied to Clinton, and like every single one of them, just if it's a high-profile scandal and it has some ultra degeneracy, there's linked to Clintons. And let's not forget that her and Bill were flying on the Epstein's Lolita Express to a private island where who knows what was happening. You know, if this a convicted kitty diddler who has a plane he literally called Lolita Express, I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that was all the Haitian kids going missing, right? Or was that totally separate?
Hmm?
That was the other thing too. Is we have like that story about all the Haitian kids like disappearing.
Oh yeah, Haiti was just really, the Clintons fucked Haiti worse than any earthquake or tornado or hurricane, whatever. Haiti might not be such a shithole if not for Clinton's quote unquote aid.
Oh, here she's about to describe what she means by shadow mail. Brace yourself. The shadow male, the murderous male, the consumer of kitty porn, the John, the drug dealer. He eats these young people. He destroys them while using them for his own perversions. Shadow older males often exploit the young ones for profit. Women alone cannot fight them successfully. Rhea still needs help today.
So it's a typical Democrat donor, like Harvey Weinstein. That's shadow mail.
Yeah, I mean, how about okay? So I guess women can't stop these males. Could they? Could they stop promoting them? Could they stop endorsing them and supporting them in every way? Like, is
Yeah,
even
and
that too much to ask? Or I guess women, they are not agents in this, right? They're just taken. They're just taken and just part of this whole structure.
also there are women who sell drugs. Just saying.
Yeah, and there's also something really weird about just listing the John in the middle of all of these, and even
Yeah,
the
well, what
drug
the fuck was
dealer,
that
right?
about?
Like I just to me, I know I'm full libertarian here. I can't really see a person who pays a prostitute or who buys and sells drugs as like this big bad person. Certainly not bad enough that you would compare them to murderers and pedophiles and all these other things. Like to me, it's a very much a strong case of which one is not like the other.
Yeah,
And like it just
that's
strikes me as like so many women try to make this big victimization narrative around prostitution when it's like the fact that you have access to that as an option is technically a privilege. Like if you were a male, you would just like starve to death instead.
Yeah.
Women, those. I learned a new term recently: swerve, sex work exclusionary radical feminist.
Yep.
I think they hate prostitutes because they think that they know that prostitutes undercut the power women have in society because women have a lot of sexual power, but if it's cheaper and less troublesome to pay for it instead of trying to actually. I know I'm sounding like some radicalized MGTOW or something, but relationships aren't worth it.
No, you're totally right. That's exactly what it is. They're prostitutes are scabs.
Well, I would go even further, saying that prostitutes aren't worth it either. Just forget sex, just do drugs and
Yeah.
embrace the call. Yeah,
Sex is
yeah,
really
embrace that.
overrated. Just don't give them your money. It's not worth it.
No,
Even for
Yeah,
instead you use that money, get yourself some drugs, get yourself a spinning robot pussy.
That's the thing, at least people who synthesize drugs in their basement, they put a lot of effort, and every woman can be a prostitute if she wanted to. There's no skill involved, but to synthesize drugs, especially some rare and like LSD synthesis is really complicated. That's why it's so expensive and hard to come by lately, because not everyone can do it. It requires skill, knowledge, and a lot of dedication. Unlike prostitution, which requires an orifice. So there's
I
that.
mean, I guess at least some of like the anime kind of like cosplay thoughts, at least they're kind of putting a spin on it, but compared to like making designer drugs, really is kind of
Well, cosplay, I guess it would be impressive if they made their own costumes or something, but most of them don't.
no, yeah. Instead you get fucking Momo-kun,
No.
Momo-chan or whatever.
Momoko, yeah, she's a shadow female.
The
'Cause
shadow
she's,
female, yeah. She orders like a little like Bowser headdress thing, and then wears a swimsuit. And she's like, I'm Bowsette now. Man, it's weird
those
that
are just being
Bowsette is like
lazy
an
at
old
cosplay.
meme now.
I would say that being a lazy cosplayer is the least of her problems. She's not quite Joe Biden levels of touchy feely, but kind of close.
Then again, like if you want to talk about getting money for doing something useless, like there are people who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube for doing mukbang videos, which is to say they
What?
sit and
I
It's like
watch mukbangs sometimes,
wait, so
but I
wait,
don't give them
so
money.
what is like? Wait. What kind of content is it? Like a food review or just
no, not
ASMR?
a lot of times, well, sometimes it's review, but sometimes it's just ASMR type stuff with no talking, where they just sit with a microphone close by and just eat food. But sometimes it's not even ASMR; it's just a person eating.
But okay, sometimes there's a
Why?
really interesting visual component, which is that you'll have these like really, really fat women all dolled up with like crazy nails and makeup and everything, and they're just eating this disgusting food and like somehow not getting messy. So to me, that creates kind of a visual spectacle.
I don't know. Well, I think it might be some weird fetish, like those feeders or whatever that they're called. Let's not even. I mean, I know that I have a live stream called Ultra Degeneracy, but let's not go there. I have enough degeneracy this week already, and it's not even like end of the week.
I made a mukbang where I get distracted and forget to eat everything.
Yeah.
It's like the worst mukbang ever. Okay. Yeah, that's yeah, it is a weird phenomenon, but it's really impressive when really small people eat like an insane amount of food. But I feel like that's
No.
different. That's more of like some kind of Guinness shit. But I feel like that's what like mukbangs aren't popular for any one reason. It's just like a weird thing that like multiple things came together for it to be popular.
I don't know. Sometimes there's a reason why this is called the weird side of YouTube.
Pretty much.
Yeah, shit like this makes the YouTube poop side of YouTube seem normal.
Well,
I
and
used to
mukbangs
be.
even had a shout out in like the YouTube Rewind for this year.
Yeah.
I just realized I'm speaking toward my unplugged mic instead of my computer.
You mentioned
Because of habit.
YouTube. You mentioned YouTube poops, Glebs. I think when I was in like my mid-teens, I used to be just obsessed with those. I thought they were hilarious. Like, the crazy sentence mixing videos. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, the well-made YouTube poop is. I still think it's hilarious. It's just that well, I mean, it's like everything that is a fad. There are very talented people, and there are just mediocre, much more mediocre people. But the number of actually really talented ones is
Yeah.
pretty
Do
inspiring.
you know CS 188?
Well,
His
everyone knows him.
yeah, he was good. Is good.
Well, he still makes poops from time to time, even though it's like Well, was never very, he was always quality over quantity, so, he just makes a couple of poops a year. Yeah.
I guess some of it is poop and some of it is the poop.
I remember reading, like, sorry, it's really bad, but it's really funny. I was reading a newspaper article or something about this kid who, in his summer holidays in Britain, he was playing video games and just locked himself in his room for days and weeks and months, and he didn't eat. Well, no, excuse me, he did eat, but like he wouldn't get up to take a shit. So he didn't take a shit, he just held in his shit for the complete duration of the summer holidays. And I can't remember what happened. I think he died because of I don't know.
Natural selection wins again.
You'd think if you're that dedicated and you knew, you would like
Imagine
get
holding
a
in
funnel or
like
something.
6 weeks worth of shit inside. I can't imagine what he must have looked like.
This is why in Idiocracy they had a sofa with a built-in toilet.
Wait, did you say a cell phone?
No.
I've never seen all of Idiocracy. I've only seen like clips of it. I've tried to like, properly watch the whole thing, but at this point, it's not even a comedy. At this point, you're just watching it like, like this is Black Mirror current year. All right, let's. So so the next part she's gonna talk about the role of the nurturers. This is what men should do. We need these nurturers. The nurturers must come back and manifest. What shadow men destroyed, men's lunar consciousness, loyalty to our species, can and will rebuild. Women need their energies to heal themselves, too. The female principle of the universe is no longer the sweet life-giving fountain of hope it used to be when she was well. She is beaten down by centuries of poverty and abuse. She is healing slowly through goddess spirituality. But the shadow woman is out there also. She is the woman who
Huh.
defends abusive men against other women, the woman who cannot make the big steps towards self affirmation. She is the one
So
who
you
makes sure if she gets a little power, she is going to hurt the powerless person just as her masters would. She is the secret destroyer. However, most crimes that affect large communities are still committed by the shadow male. But there is more to Gabbard's chat.
notice how even when talking about this shadow female, she still says, "Oh, just she's protecting the shadow male." No, bitch. There are women who are fucking evil. Let's
Yeah,
not.
like well, and also the whole thing is it's so stupid. So she talks about this like lunar feminine as this like powerful, life giving, awesome thing, right? Oh, but conveniently, women today that doesn't mean they have to be life giving, spiritual, affirmative people because they can't right now. They have to use their energy to heal themselves because they're just
Yeah,
so
from
beaten
poverty.
down by poverty, right? It's a very
Yeah,
convenient worldview, right? Of like, oh, I get to just be this like awful, shitty person, and everything that's wrong in the universe is the fault of the shadow male, and any of these women who fucking call me out on being just this bullshit, petulant fucking child, they're all the shadow females, right? It's very obvious to me at this point that she's just like put herself at the center of the universe, and then it's just excuses all the way down the way that she's
yeah.
stacked everything here.
Not to mention that speaking of poverty, how many of what percentage of homeless are women and what percentage are men? Because there is a discrepancy there.
Well,
It's not 50
No,
50.
yeah, and this is something that Berkeley and Mookie's pointed out that like when you have female poverty, it never includes all of the free shit they get from the government. So like female poverty compared to male poverty, not even close, not even close in any way. Same goes for homelessness. You know, a homeless woman is like a woman who is staying with her friends temporarily, which is like literally that you're not homeless then. Male homelessness is like you're under a bridge.
Yeah, I actually saw a homeless woman in my city recently. It's very rare um, that you see that. But yeah, she was on a busy street, like with lots of people around. They do their thing, like playing the guitar, whatever, to get some money from people. Uh, and there were loads of people just like standing around her, talking to her, and like exchanging pleasantries with her, and the guys just doing their thing and being largely completely ignored. Just an anecdotal story, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, we have a lot of shills like that in Hong Kong. And like the one that struck me the most was there was like a whole white family that would sit out there doing karaoke, and I'm just like I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, if you guys are white and you speak English, I don't understand what the deal is. Like if you can speak English, like just that is prized enough that you should be able to figure something out. And I never understood it, and I think they were like actually in the news at some point because it was like a weird enough thing. People were just like, yeah, we don't understand why there's white people out here. Like I've seen people who have like their feet are like broken and all fucked up from like some kind of labor or disease or an accident or something, and like they're like just like prostrate, just like begging for any kind of like whatever, and you can kind of see the argument there, like yeah, that makes sense. Or like there was a
Yeah.
midget who was singing for money, and he was a pretty good singer too. Like I like that midget's a good bass show. Like the other shows are just like, why are you here?
Did I tell you about the thing about the South Korean homeless people with no legs scam?
What, do they just like do the thing where they sit on their knees and then put their shoes on their knees?
No, no. I think it's actual. From what I remember, I saw a Korean guy with a blog talking about this. There are people uh, in institutions, I guess, and I don't know how people get access to them, but people with no legs, basically, who've lost the use of their legs, and there are these criminal groups who will like pay them, I guess, and take them around the city in vans and like drop them in places without their legs, to beg for money, and it's really strange.
Wait, so they take off people's legs and then they make them like beg for money with no
No,
legs?
no, no. I think it's I don't know. People who already have their legs amputated for whatever reason. I don't know why there would be a surplus of them in South Korea, but if this story's true anyway, and then they take them and like put them on the streets so that the fact that they don't have legs is like currency, sympathy currency to get money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just it's really grotesque. I wonder if that's all of the K-pop stars who like couldn't cut it, and then like that was the only way out of their contract.
Yeah, I remember hearing some number that only one in like 10,000 K-pop trainees actually get to become an idol. I mean, even that sounds crazy. Like, it doesn't sound like it can be right, but it certainly is a very small number of them.
Yeah, it's sad. They need better contracts, I guess.
Slave contracts.
Or they need to just work harder.
Sorry, no, no. Have you heard about that concept? Like the slave contract?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, just checking.
yeah. It's ew. I spit on my book on accident. Oh well, that'll dry.
Oh dear.
That'll dry. Where did that come from? What did I even do? Sorry. Okay. So this is the end of. I hope this is the end of this stupid chant. I hate reading this chant. It's like so awkward. And the Horai began to be fruitful year by year, the dictate to possess mankind, and all wild living things were held about by wealth-loving peace. Wealth-loving peace, those are all capitalized. That's capital W, capital L, capital P, wealth-loving peace. I, O Koros, most great, I give the hail. I give the hail. And that's hail, Hail? Isn't that like weather? Oh no, I'm thinking of German. It's always spelled hail. Okay. Cronian, lord of all that is wet and gleaming, thou art come at the head of thy daemons to dictate for a year. Oh, march and rejoice in the dance and the song that we make to thee with harps and pipes mingled together, and sing as we come to stand at thy well-fenced altar. The Horai are the triple goddesses who rule life and death and everything in between. They gave us the word for the hours in our lives. When the hours are fruitful, everything is enriched. Dicte, the goddess of peace and prosperity, possesses mankind. What a great idea! No more scarcity, no more war profiting, no more death merchants, no more hunger or homeless people or poverty-ridden children dying in the gutter. The shadow male doesn't care about wealth-loving peace. He is afraid for the little he has got. He never has enough, of course. He protects his privilege against the have-nots. He comes from scarcity and fear. He misses the Cold War. He misses the arms race. What the shadow male has destroyed, the new ancestors, the new chorus must repair. This is the dream of peace. The chant goes on. To us leap for full jars, and leap for fleecy flocks, and leap for fields of fruit and for hives to bring increase. Io Poros most great.
Sounds like some communist propaganda, all those.
Yep. Yeah, I guess it's 6 degrees to furries, but it's also 6 degrees to communism. Every
There's a lot of
goddamn time.
overlap. A friend of mine, who went to a furry convention said that like the amount of communist soy boys and extreme leftist cucks in there like is too damn high.
Well, and wasn't she so concerned about child support? It sounds like these women who are so concerned about child support, why are they so hell-bent on getting what's theirs? Why are they so concerned with what's theirs, It's
Well,
because
all
if
about,
a woman does it, it's because she's so beaten down and poor. When a man does it, it's not because he's providing for a family that he's responsible for. No, it's because he's just this murderous capitalist John.
Yeah. It's a Shadow the Hedgehog.
And this just comes out of nowhere. Oh, there's no more scarcity, no more hunger, or homeless people, or poverty-ridden children dying in the gutter because what? Because we acknowledge these goddesses, and the goddesses are all of time and life and death, and therefore there's no more scarcity. Like she's just living in a fantasy world. She believes in magic.
Well, she's a witch, so of course she does. I mean, that's kind of the requirement.
It's just so childish. It's literally like a version of communism that's just like overtly based in magical thinking.
Well, it's really similar to, remember this, what's his name? Spirit science guy. Yeah, his solutions to everything is just, let's how to defeat poverty. Let's make so people are not poor anymore. If you are suffering from, if you are starving, just get something to eat. How to defeat hunger. That's the same level of solutions. Just let's improve society and make sure that there's no scarcity anymore. And how are you going to do this? Or just
make it illegal.
Whoosh. Just
make it illegal.
Yeah, let them eat cake. Yeah, it's this solution to everything. Just wish it away.
Yeah.
These are same.
The witchcraft thing. I remember one of Stefan Molyneux's call-in shows. Like, he was talking to this guy who was just retarded, and had been through a string of failed relationships. And one of them was this girl who I guess he was with because he found her really sexually attractive, but she was some kind of complete lunatic and she thought she was a witch, and like she would cast spells and stuff in his house. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he named it like help. I'm in a relationship with a feminist witch or something, like some like funny clickbaity title.
Well,
Yeah.
there's his first problem. You know, the principle number one: don't put your dick in crazy.
Yeah. It just reminded me of that as all.
But what if crazy's really hot?
Uh,
Haven't you seen the chart? Haven't you seen the chart?
Yeah, but that's why if you really want to just don't actually don't try to make a lasting relationship. Just what's the term for that?
Pump and dump.
Nut and go, or what is the pump and dump?
Yeah, I think it's pump
Nut
and dump.
Nut and go works as well. I kind of like that.
Nut and go.
As well, if you want to, if you really, no matter how hot she is, no matter how good, how great the sex is, if she's fucking ahead, it's not worth it. Just take
But
my
you know
word for
what?
it.
Maybe we're not being fair. Maybe there's more to this than just magic and wishful thinking. Maybe there's something to these kinds of rituals that just produces endless abundance that we would have if only the capitalists would get out of the way. She
I
says,
think it's more likely that she's just insane.
"Yeah,
Well,
well,
to be fair, those rituals provide endless amounts of cringe for cringe connoisseurs. So yeah, it's like if you
that's
are into
fair."
looking at stupid shit, just that's
Yeah,
this
she's
found
produced not nothing. She's produced not nothing, and I can't take that away from her. Here is the ritual job of the ancient priest, leaping for blessings. Russian folk dances still have the slag heap, where the male dancer comes out and to the rhythmical applause of the audience leaps around the stage, almost flies. In my country, the men have many dances that originated from such rituals. They have a sword dance for the protection of the land. They have the leaping dance with bells fastened to their ankles. In England they call them the Morris dancers. Men have the stag dance, which is the fertility dance. All male energies can be channeled through ritual and social honor into positive acts for wealth loving peace. We no longer have a certified enemy on the outside. The enemy is the shadow male, and he dwells within. He can be found in all males. He must be transformed by all males, or at least enough of them to count. Finally, the chant ends with leap for our cities, and leap for our sea-borne ships, and leap for young citizens, and for goodly Themis, Io Chronos most great. Goodly Thermus, goodly Themis, goodly Themis. Man, I hate these names. These names are awful.
So it's basically just complete gibberish at this point. All those some those folk dances have those so the male dancer just dances around the stage, and this means something ritual, something shadow male. It's just complete. It doesn't follow. It's like listening to a schizophrenic.
Yeah, I
Seriously,
thought I recognized the name Themis, like vaguely. I've just looked it up. Yeah, it's another ancient Greek thing.
Yeah,
oh, I thought it was
TMIS,
the
Themis.
guy who snapped half of the population away in one of those Cape shit movies.
Now, yes, this god in the song shows men's veneration of the goddess of justice. She is the summoner of social instincts in defense of the human community. Gabber was then to act out this part of the chant, and leap about for all the things he needed to bless. He leapt for good grades, he leapt for a girlfriend, then he did his duty, and leapt for the safety of the planet, all animals and all people. When he finished his ritual, the stag ran away. He considered himself accepted by the focus in nature, recognized through sending him the stag. He did alter his consciousness and reality, but participating with his right brain in the ritual itself. He also made the historical assumption of responsibility for the protection of new life. He celebrated his young manhood. I suggest to men that the cry and need for initiation and the company of other initiates can be as close as your nearest woods or wild place. Your ancestors are always there and have the time. Sorry, and they have the time. All male workshops are important to encourage the new manhood to come out and define themselves. Manhood and respect for males has not been redefined since the sword and the gun. Workshops should be offered to the young for free. Important studies would include the ancient priesthoods of the Sali, for example, and all their important initiation ceremonies during the month of March, when Roman boys assumed the toga. The cults of Dionysus, Bacchus, Iacchos, Bessarius, Uios, Zagreus, Dionysius, Grates, Linnaeus, Eleutheros, Broimos, Pan, and the Horned One were all active priesthoods with their own set of rules and rituals, colors, and symbols. No male movement writer has published about this rich male spiritual heritage. Not a word so far. Is it because a woman discovered it? In the all male workshops, too, there ought to be more real ritual and less therapy. While therapy and its feel good games can be initially
Hello?
helpful in dealing with the father mother wounds, lost identities, and the dysfunctional emotional lives of men, there is a point beyond which blaming the parents, demanding women, must give way to the more adult path of taking responsibility for one's current times and the actions of what the collective males allow themselves to do. The shadow male must be confronted and healed.
I like how she started with Dionysus and Bacchus, which both of them are gods of wine and
Yeah, it's
debauchery.
the same god. As one is Greek and one is Roman, right? They're the same
Yeah.
friggin' god. But this is Bacchus with an OS, so it might be different.
No, it's the same. It's
Yeah.
also also it's like I had this idea, this neo-pagan cult of Astartes, Dionysus, and Apollo. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. Well, then it should be Dionysus, Astartes, and Apollo, and that's in that order.
Well, and
So
what's
basically, it's like a quote unquote spiritual excuse to get drunk and have an orgy.
yeah, right? I mean, so she talks about, okay, masculinity has not been redefined since the sword and the gun. Earlier, she references the sword dance for protection, and her entire thing is asking men to step up, to man up, and then to fight the patriarch. Or, I'm sorry, to confront and heal the patriarch. But we're supposed to heal the shadow male without therapy, because the real answer is what she calls real ritual. Like, the whole thing is just so tangled and stupid. She talks about the not blaming the parents, right? And she means the mother by this because of course she's going to blame the fathers. She centered this entire ritual around pr- protection from fathers, but we're not supposed to suggest that there's any
Um,
responsibility on the part of mothers, that they're ones to be
Maybe
protected
mothers
from.
shouldn't date psychopaths, and then they wouldn't be, it wouldn't be necessary to defend their children from their own fathers.
Wait,
Just saying.
are you suggesting that um the kinds of women who get into relationships with abusive men isn't completely random? Oh my god, what a horrible thing to say.
No, it is completely random. It's just like the poisoned M&M. Because all the M&Ms look the same. They come in different colors, but you have absolutely no idea which ones are poisoned. And that is something that all women deal with. And if you deny it, you just hate women, and you just have not embraced your lunar self because you're just speaking as a phallocentric shadow male. That's what we learned. That's what we've learned here.
It's funny how remember when feminists were using this meme about how men are some, just a few men are poisonous M&Ms, but grab a handful, and then someone changed this meme for like immigrants. Yeah, just some of them are poisonous M&Ms. Just let a bunch of them into the country, and all those feminists just flipped out when they saw this meme.
See, the problem is that is very linear, this, therefore, that sort of logic, where you have propositions extending, like an erection, toward a conclusion, and you need to have logic that's more fluid. Your logic needs to be more fluid. You need to go light a candle and fuck a stag, okay?
What would the
That's
thing
my
about
prescription. Light a candle and fuck a stag.
the phallocentric logic is like, I mean, a sort of hard and logical, like it's kind of just linguistic fucking around, but I sort of understand where they're going with it. But what would vaginocentric logic look like? Because the thing is, it's just like a hole. So I suppose, like, to express it properly, it would just be like there's nothing there, just nonsense, which sort of
Well,
makes sense.
there's a saying: "Pull something out of your ass." Well, ass is not the only orifice you can pull things out of, so that's
Yeah.
the vaginal logic.
Yeah, and feminists, like, there's a certain class of feminists who, like, Karen Strawn commented on it at some point, this woman who said that she knows deep in her heart, in her soul, in her vagina.
Yeah, that was
And
Eve Ensler. And you know what? Eve Ensler did like a more recent TED talk that Karen and Allison did like a live like kind of response to as they were going through it, which was, I think that video was in like 2015 or maybe 2014 even, which like even that was like a couple of years after when Karen Strawn had made her video making fun of when she saw Eve Ensler at that conference. The other interesting part about that was she says, "Are the vaginas in the house?" And then all the women cheer. And then she says, "Are the vagina-friendly men in the house?" And another funny irony that Karen pointed out is that she literally referred to the women as a body part and to the men as actual people. Like, in doing that.
Also, wouldn't that be technically exclusive towards gay men? Because, well, they're not vagina friendly.
Well, arguably, they're the only vagina-friendly men because all sex is rape. All penetrative sex, that's why it's penetrative.
All
sex.
penis
Like
and vagina. They say that all penis and vagina sex is rape. So I guess maybe it means that they prefer it in the ass or something. I don't know.
see,
Feminists,
this is what happens when you use feminine vaginocentric logic instead of masculine phallocentric logic. So we should just stick to the male variety.
I think that's the thing, though, is that this vaginal-centric logic, you kind of retreat into your own hole of yourself, and then from there, like, it's like you are the light, and it's all just shadow puppets. And I think that's why she thinks that men are shadows. She's in the cave. Ooh, is that it? Is that what Plato was meant by the allegory of the cave? The cave is just this vaginal-centric kind of logic that you need to crawl out of, which is the process of being born. I think this is true. I think this makes a lot of sense. I think we just solved something. All right, so
I love how we just went off on 1,000 different tangents because the actual text itself is just so dull. Like,
it's
yeah.
inspirational. It's inspirational.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that even though my live stream is called Alter Degeneracy, I think this one is more deserving of this title because of the subject matter.
Yeah, right. Well, if anybody doesn't get it, she has written a prescription, and it's light a candle and fuck a stag. There you go. Form your own grassroots men's priesthood with research, then practice the sacred dances. Perform blessings and volunteer your time to remedy real modern problems, such as the struggle against abuse of all kinds. Be visible in the political spiritual arena. Practice ritual and parallel practice activist politics. The two are one, you know. Oh, I'm sorry, the two are one, you know. So practicing ritual and practicing activist politics, those are the same. Those who say spirituality is not the highest form of politics have not really practiced ritual. Magical practitioners know the political implications of every thought, word, every act, every dance in ritual. That's the thing though. I would say that about capitalism, right? Because to me, it's like anything you do that's productive and voluntary can be seen as like related to that. And she's kind of has like an inverted version of it where it's all communism basically. Like there's something
how the
there.
thing goes. Socialism is when government does things. The more things government does, the more socialist it is.
Basically, yeah. She wants the government to do everything, and that's why this idea of defining the male role as get a job, be productive, and don't be a degenerate, like that's too much for her. It's too open ended. She needs everything to be politically dictated from the top down, and she needs everything to be followed in ritual in order for magical communism to work.
That's the problem. These people are so they're so boring that they have to embellish everything with stupid rituals because, well, otherwise they cannot find enjoyment in mundane things. Just that they need some mystery to surround stupid shit. Like they can't even do drugs in the forest. They need to have rituals with that and fuck a stag for it to be interesting.
Well, the next part, she's going to tell us what she thinks the men's movement should look like. She's given us a taste of it, but now she's really going to tell us what this means.
Does it involve having... Sorry, yeah, go on.
It's probably involved...
No, what's your prediction? What's your prediction?
Involved some stupid, quote-unquote, spiritual stuff in the forest with the stag.
Probably, but it's also going to involve my free space.
Yeah, something about conquering the shadow male and the forest.
To snuggle struggle as we know
it. Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Did we have dualism bad? We did not have that. We have women have it worse.
What does that? Huh? What does that term? What does that term struggle snuggle mean? Like that when people, because the mental image that comes to mind is like I imagine two people in an extremely narrow corridor or something that's only big enough for one person to go through at a time, and they like have to cross.
Struggle snuggle is a politically correct term to describe what male feminists do to female feminists when nobody's looking.
Yeah, it's a euphemism. It's like the cutest way to say it ever. It's just a snuggle with a little bit of a struggle. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh my god! Sorry,
when
my
they
laugh.
Respect women.
Yeah, my laugh is really gay.
It's when you respect women a little too much. It's the horseshoe theory of respecting women. Hello to broken-hearted liberal in the chat. We're actually on the last page of our entry today, but glad you made it for this part of it. This should be this should encapsulate, I think, the whole just garbage pile that was In Search of the Lunar Male by Zsussana, Emese, Budapest. And how if we would just all stop being such toxic shadow male Nazis and just start being witches, we could finally make real communism work. And stop criticizing mothers. What we have to do is we have to make the sons fight the evil shadow patriarchs, because that's definitely not traditionalist in any way, and it definitely is empowering to the women.
Yeah. I've got to start struggle snuggling with forest creatures.
Stop the struggle snuggling. Stop it.
I'm not going to be able to get over that now.
Terrence says it sounds like she would be pro mythopoetic if she could micromanage it a bit, and I think that's exactly it. Like she likes I think the flavor of it, right? But she resents the fact that she doesn't control it because I don't know if you guys know this, but magic isn't real, right? So so I think she's in this really awkward
How could you
scenario where
say that?
she's a witch and magic isn't real, and that's a sad way to live. It's not a happy existence.
Well, I
She's gonna
mean,
make it real
how
by
could you say that
nagging.
magic isn't real? She said that her son went into a forest and there came a stag because he chanted. So it's obviously magic. It couldn't be that animals live in the forest and just oh, it's magic.
Nope,
I'd
there's
be
more of our phallocentric reasoning that just it needs to go. It needs to go. We need vaginal shadow puppets instead. I suggest to the new men to form, drumroll, anti-rape squads, as women did back in 1972. Interfere when you hear a cry for help, male or female. Don't be just a consumer of yet another fashionable living room topic, the men's movement. Make it a real movement. Don't let it be just a workshop cult for the few. Reach out to your poorer men's groups. Formulate ideas that can attract the black and yellow and brown and red men as well. Manifest men's centers where courses are free. Manifest marches against violence. Battle the shadow men openly and tame and absorb him. This
oh,
is
it
truly your
notice how
challenge.
she always talks about how everything should be free. Just
It needs to be free. That's the thing. They really hate the mythopoetic movement because they don't like that these seminars are like expensive, right? And it's like, of course it's expensive. It's like a weird fringe thing. The only way for them to like have a conference or have a get together would be to like charge money. But and yeah, it'd be great to have it all be free, but it would kind of have to reach a level of like mainstream acceptability that there's like an abundance of it that you could reduce the value of it. I don't know. But yeah, that's one thing is they say, oh well, since it costs money, therefore all of the men involved in it have to be just extra rich patriarchal men. It's her way of just not having any kind of sympathy for it.
well, I mean, she didn't get enough, child support payments because Shadow Man something something something.
Yeah, well, on that note, she says, your sisters and mothers and lovers depend on your full awakening. We have waited for you so long.
Yeah, wake up, sheeple.
Wake up. Wake up. You will experience flack thrown at you as it was thrown at the fledgling women's movement 20 some odd years ago. You are elitist. You are just a small group of rabid radicals. You have no sense of humor. Let them. My mother used to say, if you have no enemies, you have not done anything important. I agree with that. I agree with that.
But on the other hand, they just make an assumption that if everyone is your enemy, you are doing something really well. Or they don't consider that if they made enemies with everyone, literally everyone, except for their own clique, then maybe they're doing something really, really wrong. That doesn't cross their mind, I guess.
yeah. Like the first part of it's true that if you're making no enemies, it's not important. But that is kind of an important second step to it. That like if you piss off literally everyone, there might be cause for a little reflection, self-examination. But she's conveniently barred that off. Conveniently, we're not supposed to be examining the shadow female, except insofar as she is an enabler of the evil shadow male. She says, continue on a spiritually inspired path, and you will fulfill your long prophesied destiny, the downfall of the old order, patriarchy. Rhea has spared you and given a stone to the old Cronus to eat instead of your tender flesh. Make yourself a talisman, a red magical bag, a green stone for good luck and further growth. Go out under the moon and say, happy am I on the weary sea, who has fled the tempest and won heaven. Happy whoso risen free above his dark striving. May the flow be with me. Flow is
What the
capitalized.
fuck? It's like
Welcome
like
home, lunar male. Oh, that was
it's
it.
like a Star Wars quote, like may the force be with you or something.
May the flow be with you. May the flow be with you.
What's
She
the
needs,
flow?
because you know what? Men need to have their periods. Once men have their periods, then we can have real communism through witch magic.
Yeah, it's like a magic trick where you just make the object of the sentence at the beginning and it makes it sound really poetic.
Yeah, it's called inversion.
Husband and wife, I pronounce you now, or whatever.
Yoda style.
Yeah.
Stupid are you? Reproduce you should not.
Or there's like the version that happens in the Bible, which I think it's because it's translated from Hebrew. It's kind of interesting where like the verb goes first. So you get things like humbled he them.
Oh, it's actually kind of like Polish notation for like some calculators or even some languages for programming had this Polish notation. So instead of 2 plus 3 equals 5, you see you write plus 2 3, and then it's like you write the like operator first, and then the arguments. Can actually makes more sense for a computer, not for a human, but for a computer when you write the action and then the arguments. It makes more sense. Like for example, in some very early calculators, because of how it was first calculators were made in the era when electronics were pretty primitive. So they operated like that because it was easier to make the chip and design the chip like that. Nowadays, nobody cares. Nowadays, you can make a pocket calculator that's really really cheap, and then you can write very complicated equations there because you can put a 32-bit microcontroller there with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and megabytes of RAM. But back in the day, yeah, it's for computers. This makes so verb and then noun would actually probably make more sense. Yeah, that's
This next part of it.
the furthest was straight from the topic today, I think.
No, it's fine. Just the last bit of this is actually really amusing when they describe the author. She has a TV show. It turns out it was on cable, called 13th Heaven. I kind of want to watch this show because I'm sure it's really really entertaining.
Audio's breaking up.
Oh, I just said she has a TV show.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can make this part bigger. I think. So, oh wait. Let me just put this over here or over here. I don't know how well people can read it. God, I don't know why it didn't turn out well. I need to like properly scan this or something. But she is the first genetic witch in the USA who put together feminism with witch received a role model for the country with many more feminist covens to follow. She has the first goddess TV show.
Oh, your audio is breaking up.
Oh. Well, yeah, she has the first feminist TV show, the goddess TV show, 13th Heaven, which was on cable. Yeah. So yeah, I just like genetic.
But speaking of Susan B. Anthony, capable of rational, because a lot of early
Realist is because the world was racist, much everybody by today's standards. So
suffragettes were actual,
including black people, even.
bit,
yeah. It's super funny because a lot of feminists are really
the one.
upset by it.
What's the name of her, what's her name was like the British Admiral Margaret
Elizabeth
Sanger.
Cady Stanton and just the phrase "snow under." that's my favorite white supremacist phrase. I have a favorite. It turns out.
Yeah.
The one for next week is called "Essential Lies: A Dystopian Vision of the Mythopoetic Men's Movement" by Laura S. Brown. So the next one is going to be a little bit, I think, less of
Oh,
like a
wait,
vaginal puppet show. It's going to be much
Did
more
we-
direct.
we finished it?
Yeah, that was it. It was only 9 pages.
Oh, cool.
It was a shorter one this week. I mean, was there anything she missed? I feel like she just solved all the world's problems there in those 9 pages. Just whoosh, do some rituals, light a candle, fuck a stag, and then you have infinite resources. Stop blaming women, and the shadow women are just doing what the shadow males are telling them to do. We need to stop the shadow males by basically having the sons step in and defend their mothers.
I kept thinking that the stag was going to shapeshift into a person or something at some point. That would at least be moderately less weird.
Well, I mean, the brew that her son took with him wasn't, the interesting part. If he took some, magic mushrooms instead of whiskey, that could have happened. And again, this is how magic worked back in the day. You just nowadays there's no magic, mostly because those substances are not exactly allowed for human consumption.
Yeah,
So
I wonder now if like anytime he goes to the bar and like has some whiskey, if like he turns into a witch. If that's it's a very decidedly kind of mundane choice for like a ritual. But there you have it, whiskey and cake, and a black candle and a white candle, and some awful chants. But I do want to look into it. Like I actually have been wanting to make a video about the goddess movement just because it's so funny. They have actually I'm gonna grab it. It's like the funniest image ever of like the logo for the goddess movement. It's like just try to imagine what it looks like. This is a fun game. Just try to imagine what it looks like, and I'm going to show you what it looks like, and
something really cringy.
You're gonna be 0% surprised. It's amazing. This. Every time I look at it.
Wow.
It's got like eyes for titties and like the swirling mystery. Woo.
Yeah, it's either Debian logo or Dreamcast logo. Well, Dreamcast would actually make more. Well, I guess. I mean,
it is like a Dreamcast. That's funny. It is like a Dreamcast logo.
Well, it's also like this Linux distribution called Debian. Also, kind of. Well, back in the day when Linux distributions were not very user friendly, you had to there was a lot of fuckery involved with setting it up and making it work properly. Now, not so much. Now it's kind of boring. Just install it and it actually, to quote Todd the God Howard, it just works.
Well, you know what else is funny about this logo is it has the shape of like a humanoid, obviously, but it also looks like a uterus.
Yeah, I think that was what they were going for.
But it also looks like a dildo.
And the swirling, this hypnotic spiral. Well, if it's a dildo, then it's probably the least convenient dildo to use. It kind of more. If the head was longer, it would be kind of dagger shaped more, with a very weird guard. Speaking of,
I guess it can't be any less convenient than fucking a tree or a statue.
Oh, you know what it looks actually?
I'll give him that.
Oh, well, it looks like a pair of scissors.
It kind of does. There's some low key lesbian pride there. There's really a lot of good imagery packed into this. A well made symbol, I must say.
Yeah, and it also kind of looks like cave drawings. So it has this like primitive vibe from like antiquity. So and there's also that.
Holy. That makes it spiritual, right? Because if it's old and not modern, that means that the magic works.
Well, I mean, it's for logo. It's actually pretty. Well, it fits the the movement or the idea. So I guess it's a in this sense, yeah, it's a good logo.
The thing that kills it for me is the nipples, because it makes it look like eyes.
Yeah.
Like I
Also,
could take it actually seriously if it didn't have like little nipples on the tits. Like,
or it kind of looks like if she, has this like leotard with 2 cutouts for tits, because they're different color.
yeah. Well, I have the day of off of work tomorrow for the Dragon Boat Festival. I kind of want to like be a faggot and get like a selfie stick and just like walk around, but I also feel like I don't know who fucking cares really. Like outside is gay. I could just make a
Also,
video on the
this
Divine
logo.
Feminine and the Goddess Movement instead because it's super funny. I'm probably just gonna binge watch all of 13th Heaven. I just want to find as many episodes as I can. I'm sure it's
Binge
really
watch
funny.
what? I didn't catch it. Binge watch
13th Heaven. This author made a TV series that was on cable in the 90s called 13th Heaven. Yeah. I'm sure it's a gold mine. I'm like really excited. I didn't read that the first time I read through this.
Oh, by the way, this when I look at this logo, it kind of also looks like there's a lollipop. Yeah, this swirly thing, and it's like a lollipop on a stick.
A little bit, yeah. It's like a Rorschach. Oh, it looks like Ashley has left,
Yeah.
but I guess we
Well,
should probably wind it down now anyway.
yeah, we should probably wrap it up.
Sorry,
We finished.
I feel like the last stream there were like no technical issues. It was really good. And then this stream, I was so excited because I finally figured out a clever way to make the display capture work by using my broken laptop monitor screen. And then my microphone just stopped working. It was so gay. It was so gay.
Well, I mean, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, I'm just gonna maybe keep a list of all the things that have ever went wrong and make that my little checklist of things to look at. But anyway. So yeah, next week it'll be a more, I don't know, I guess intellectual, dare I say. Passage.
Also about dystopia, some cyberpunk. I guess they will talk about how dystopia. That's a problem. They're going to be overly dramatic and not saying anything of substance and saying all those mythopoetic men's movements. Like at least it won't contain any moon men or shadow. Oh, I just realized lunar man. Lunar man is this the same as moon man?
Oh, that's funny.
Moon man, can't you see?
It was almost too obvious.
Beep and beep should be hanged from trees. We can't say it on YouTube anymore.
Yeah, we gotta be careful. Because the next purge.
You know what it reminded me of? A while back, a long time ago, like when I was live streaming, and we mentioned Moonman, and it turns out that one of the guests have never heard of Moonman. So I decided to play some examples. Just started playing them, and then new viewers started tuning in, and then someone in the chat writes, "I just opened your stream and there's Moonman playing. Oh, that's a good stream." Oh, this was the time.
I'm gonna maybe get some clips from 13th Heaven people haven't seen because I'm like 1,000% sure it's gonna be hilarious. But yeah, so the next one is gonna be some bitch shitting on the Mythopoetic men's movement because why not? And then the one after that is called A Helping Hand from the Guys by Vicky Noble. So that one's gonna be I guess very reasonable and not obnoxious and entitled at all. And then after that, we have one from a very, very famous woman who we all know, Bell Hooks. Then we have the Bell Hooks chapter.
It's the one that was idolized by Anita Sarkeesian.
That's right. So she's kind of like the last boss of this book.
Oh.
I mean, not the last, but she's kind of near the end. So yeah, so some exciting things happening in here. And then after the Bell Hooks chapter, it's a lot of really short ones in succession. So, yeah.
Well, at least. Well, speaking of short and long ones, some of those no matter how long or short they are, there's so little substance there. Like was it the first one which we talked about was the one about just some bitch was thinking about the guy wanted this guy to put his stick into her wet sock. Like what was it about?
That was the Le Guin one, which is probably like the best written and like most
Yeah,
defensible of any of these, but like
yeah, but
also had
also
the
the
least
most
substance in terms of like the
pointless.
actual. Yeah, it was
You know,
kind of pointless. Kind of pointless. I'm sure her sci-fi is really good though. I'm sure Earthsea is a really fascinating read, but I
I one thing I can say is that at least compared to typical feminist movie reviewers, these women actually, or at least there was a editor, or hopefully they actually can write properly. Because if you read those, if you saw my videos discussing feminist film reviewers, wink wink nudge nudge, you should watch them. You'll see how bad they are at writing. Like it's so bad, especially Marianne with the shaky hand Johansson. That's like so far the worst movie reviewer I've seen. She couldn't even. Her reviews are just the stream of consciousness. At least these, even though these writings are pointless and have very little substance, at least there is some substance, and it actually seems like a structured essay. That's what's going for them, I guess.
they speak in a lot of like dumb cliche phrases that are just ironically dog whistles to each other. And like they don't have any real way of thinking, so like that's all they can do is just reference these like larger concepts and then hope that that's going to convey whatever it is they're supposed to say. And really it's not even anything that's of actual substance, but it's just like the attitude toward the thing.
Yeah, it's almost like they use this as a ritual.
I think that's it. We've just outed them. They're all just part of the coven. The Susan B. Anthony Coven #1. All right. On that note, everybody here, thanks for coming, and everybody, I hope you all have a very nice day. And next week, I guess we'll have a couple of shorter ones to read. And then after that is Bell Hooks on this exciting journey of academics responding to women respond to the men's movement.